True crime. True crime. Oh, I guess I was saying true crime, not Crue Trime. Crue Trime. Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, it is another episode of Crue Trime.
That's terrible.
Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, it is another episode of Crue Trime. Crue Trime. So today's Crue Trime story does not involve a serial killer, but there is lots of lies. There is lots of misfortune. It's a doozy. Stick around. All right, folks. So today's episode of Crue Trime is not necessarily, what you would expect. There's no murder attributed to this person, but it is a series of crimes and swindles and bamboozles. So today's story is all about Sylvia Browne, fake psychic. Also, obviously I've already taken a shortcut with my face. I have a little bit of base on, brows. We're just gonna skip through the boring stuff and go right to the makeup. If you wanna see which kind of makeup I'm using and all the steps, just check down the description box because I'm gonna link everything. All right, you guys wanna hear about Sylvia Browne? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so Sylvia Browne was, past tense, she's dead, spoiler alert. Sylvia Browne was a world-renowned psychic, author, lecturer, and researcher in the field of parapsychology. She made millions of dollars as a professional observer of heaven and angels, and channeled a spirit guide named Francine. She was most famous for telling the distraught parents of missing children what had happened to them. Sylvia Celeste Browne was born on October 19th, 1936 in Kansas City, Missouri, to William Lee and Celeste Shoemaker. William had several different jobs over the years, including jewelry sales, mail delivery, and as a vice president of a major freight line. The family's religious background was very diverse, including Catholic, Episcopalian, Lutheran, and Jewish family members. But the Shoemaker house was mainly Catholic. Sylvia claimed to start seeing things at a very young age. As early as age 5, she claimed that she was seeing visions and that the gift ran in her family. So she said that her grandmother was also a psychic medium, and her grandmother helped her understand how to use her gift, how to receive these visions and what they meant. She also claimed that she had a great uncle that was a medium and that was super into UFOs. So Sylvia Browne's education background is debatable. She claims to have graduated from college and obtained a master's degree in English literature, although there is no documentation of any of that. Oh, no documentation? Buckle up. Okay, so over the course of her life, Sylvia Browne married 5 times. First marriage to Gary Dufresne produced 2 sons, one of whom Sylvia claims also inherited her gifts. Her second marriage to Joe Serchant, it was quickly annulled. The third marriage was to Kensel Dalzell Browne, whose last name she kept, but she altered the spelling. His name was Brown and she put an E on the end. Fancy. The fourth marriage was to a man named Larry Beck, and the fifth and last at age 73 was to Michael Ullery, who was a jewelry store owner. Wait a minute. Michael Ullery, the jewelry store owner.
Julia, that's funny.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. So after moving to California in her late 20s, Sylvia began giving psychic readings for a living. And in 1974, Sylvia incorporated the Nirvana Foundation for Psychic Research that's now known as the Sylvia Browne Corporation. In 1986, at age 50, she founded the Gnostic Christian church known as the Society of Novus Spiritus. The church's concept is God-centered, but eliminates the concept of hell, Satan, sin, guilt, and fear, which, you know what, Sylvia? It sounds great. All the rewards, none of the consequences. So further, the teachings of the church were centered around a person's spiritual growth, that a person lives multiple lives in an effort to become their best spiritual self, and reincarnation and all that jazz. So the society holds weekly celebration services, and they work through study groups that utilize a 16-volume set of books written by Browne. Those who complete those lessons may choose to take more advanced lessons, leading to becoming a deacon and an ordained minister of that society. Cha-ching! I mean, that sounds a lot like Scientology to me, but anyway. So over the years, Sylvia's psychic medium reading rates increased, with the last known rate of $750 for a 30-minute telephone call and a 4-year waiting list. She was also the head of Sylvia Browne Enterprises that earned more than $3 million a year just from those readings alone. Sylvia also authored over 50 books on paranormal and spiritual topics, 22 of which reached the New York Times bestseller list. So Sylvia eventually began making the rounds on various talk shows, most frequently The Montel Williams Show and Larry King Live and Coast to Coast AM. So during those appearances, she would discuss her abilities and perform readings for audience members or callers. There is some serious fucking noise going on outside and it is ruining my life right now. So Sylvia wasn't only writing books, founding a religion, and appearing on TV and radio with her abilities, she was also working as a psychic detective. So according to her, she was working with various police departments to solve numerous murders and locate the suspects that were previously unknown, and she claimed to be about 85% correct. In the year 2000, a man named Stephen Brill examined 10 episodes of the Montel Williams Show that Sylvia had appeared on as a psychic detective that spanned about 35 cases. So in 21 of those cases, the information predicted by Browne was vague and unverifiable. Of the remaining 14, law enforcement and or the family members said that Browne's information was not useful. So if we do a quick math check on that, that's 0% correct. My neighbor's outside pressure washing something. Great timing, Brian. Thank you. So in 2010, a 3-year study conducted by Ryan Schaefer and Agatha Jadwick was published that also closely scrutinized Browne's predictions about missing persons and murder cases, and the study reported that Browne had not even been mostly correct in a single case. So that study actually spanned about 115 cases that she was involved in, and in the 25 cases where an actual outcome was known, she was completely wrong in every one. In the cases with unknown outcomes, of course, her predictions could not be substantiated. But do I have examples? Oh yeah, I have examples. Okay, so in 1999, Sylvia Browne said that Opal Jo Jennings, a missing 6-year-old girl from Texas, had been sold into slavery in Japan. That young girl's body was eventually found buried in Fort Worth, Texas, and an autopsy revealed that she had been killed shortly after she was reported missing. But you know, slavery in Japan, close. In 2002, the mother of missing girl Holly Crewson appeared on the Montel Williams Show. Holly had disappeared 7 years earlier. Sylvia told her name was Gwen, she told Gwen that Holly was alive and working as a stripper in Hollywood, California. So Gwen flew to Hollywood, California and scoured that area. She turned it upside down. She went to every club, spoke to everyone that she possibly could, only to find that Holly's identified body had been found in San Diego in 1996, like a year after she had disappeared. They had matched her dental records. Also in 2002, 11-year-old Sean Hornbeck disappeared while riding his bike to a friend's house in Missouri. Sylvia Browne told Sean's mother on the Montel Williams Show that Sean had been kidnapped by a dark-skinned Hispanic man with dreadlocks, and that he was dead and was buried between 2 jagged boulders. 4 years later, Sean Hornbeck was found alive with a chubby pedophile who had, kidnapped him years earlier in suburban St. Louis. Ooh, I've got a little bit of fallout. In 2004, Sylvia Browne told Amanda Berry's mother, also on the Montel Williams Show, that she was not alive. Amanda, along with 2 other women, had been kidnapped and held captive by Ariel Castro in Cleveland, and they were all freed in May of 2013. Do you remember that story when it broke? The dead giveaway guy.
Dead giveaway, dead giveaway, dead giveaway, dead giveaway, dead giveaway, dead giveaway, dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. Best. So Amanda's mother had asked Sylvia on the Montel Williams show, will I ever see her again? And Sylvia said,
yeah, in heaven, on the other side.
and you know what? Amanda's mother died before Amanda was found. So technically, I guess the jury's out. So the point is that there was a ton of this. When you watched these readings that she did, I mean, at the time, some of these cases were like some of the biggest, most sensational, ongoing, unsolved cases. And, you know, these people just really wanted answers. The viewers wanted answers. And she seemed to be speaking with authority, right? But sometimes you would watch and it was like cringe. Okay, hang on a second. Let me get this lash on. One of the cringiest readings is of a woman who, again, on the Montel Williams show, spoke of losing her boyfriend tragically and him never being found. And Sylvia said,
well, the reason you didn't find him is because he's in water.
Long pause.
It was September 11th. There was no, he was a fireman, but...
Gooped.
Is there any way he could have drowned in water some way?
They never found a piece of him. Nothing.
From 9/11.
So after Sean Hornbeck was found alive and it was obvious that Sylvia Browne was incredibly wrong about her prediction, she stopped giving interviews. She said that...
only God is right all of the time.
Good one. But she continued making appearances and giving guest lectures to her devoted following. Most of her appearances have her seated on a stage and then guests file up to the microphone one by one and they ask questions about their loved ones, which are answered curtly and sometimes even before they're done asking the questions. So here's an example. A dramatic reenactment.
Why did my husband take his own life?
He was bipolar.
Come to find out, that man in that example had chronic and debilitating pain in his legs, but that grieving woman was too polite to correct her.
Am I ever gonna have a better relationship with my father?
No, he's narcissistic. Forget about it. There's darkness there.
Wow. So famed skeptic James Randi says that Sylvia's talent is not supernatural, that she's just a good cold reader. And cold reading is a stage art. It's where you can convince a stranger that you know more about them than you actually do. So you're just like super observant. You just make high probability guesses based on their demographics, maybe their appearance, their clothing, and then you alter the direction of your spiel based on their responses. So it's like a give and take. Okay, so James Randi went on to say that Sylvia Browne's continued appearances on Larry King and Montel Williams only bolstered her dependability because those two very creditable media sources, Montel Williams and Larry King, they wouldn't have someone on their show that would just be on the air to take advantage of grieving families, right? So-called psychics will say that just because there isn't scientific evidence to prove their abilities doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And the James Randi Educational Foundation had a long-standing $1 million prize for anyone who could prove their powers. And Sylvia Browne agreed 4 times to undergo that challenge, but then she later refused to participate based on the grounds that James Randi wasn't a godly man. Okay. So again, after that Sean Hornbeck incident, Sylvia Browne's first husband, Gary Dufresne, gave an interview to Robert Lancaster, who was an anti-bullshit writer who spent years exposing Sylvia Browne. Quote, "The damage she does to unsuspecting people in crisis situations is just atrocious." And he recounted the story of an evening back in the early 70s when they were married, and Sylvia had hosted a tarot card party. So they were tidying up, Sylvia and Gary, they were tidying up after the guests had left for the evening, and he asked her, how can you tell people this kind of stuff? I mean, you know it's not true, and some of them actually believe it. And then she said,
Screw him. Anybody who believes this ought to be taken.
Nice one, Sylvia. So some other little nuggets for the people who just cannot be convinced and just love Sylvia Browne. credibility, okay? So in the late 1980s, FBI and local authorities began investigating Sylvia and her businesses over the years over several bank loans that caused sustained losses to banks. So in 1992, she was indicted on several charges of investment fraud and grand theft. Sylvia and her then husband, Sylvia Browne, they had sold securities in a gold mining venture under false pretenses. So they took the money from investors and then used it for personal and corporate expenses and then filed bankruptcy. She pled no contest to sale of security without permit and was given 1 year probation and 200 hours of community service. Why are so many people out driving loudly? Stay home. So the bottom line is, throughout her tenure as a career psychic, Sylvia Browne took money from people who were emotionally vulnerable. She invented messages from or about loved ones or endangered the lives of sick people that were looking to her to hand deliver messages from on high about their condition or what was going on. These people came to her and they were desperate and they were willing to pay any amount of money to get any kind of answer at all. And she took their money. She convinced the loved ones of victims that foul play was involved when it wasn't. She advised family members against the advice of medical professionals. She would tell people that things were not foul play when they were. I mean, it was just bad. The whole thing is just bad. Whoa, that is shiny. Maybe that is the wrong choice. So in May 2003, Larry King asked Sylvia Browne one time when she was a guest on his program if she knew the day that she was going to die, and she said yes. Of course she did.
Yes, when I'm 88.
But joke's on you, Sylvia Browne. She had a heart attack in Hawaii. I mean, that's not funny, but she had a heart attack in Hawaii and then later died in California on November 20th, 2013 at the age of 77. So I'm not celebrating her death, okay, but that last failed prediction would be laughable if she hadn't hurt so many other people along the way. Okay, so I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychic, I've never had a paranormal experience, but 13% of Americans say that they believe in psychics, which seems like a lot, okay? And I'm not saying that you're wrong, but... All right, now hang on a second. There is a little bit of topical information that is worth sharing on this whole Sylvia Browne situation, so let me try to find it. Okay, this is actually kind of funny. So in Sylvia Browne's 2000 book titled End of Days, she predicted that there was going to be a respiratory illness outbreak. So here's the passage. I'm just going to read the passage from the book.
In around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely.
I'm squinting at you, if you believe that this is true. So she wrote that piece in the book that went out in 2008, but it was after the SARS outbreak. Okay, you remember SARS? Very similar, okay, than to what's going on now. Outbreaks like this are cyclical, like these things happen. They're terrible, but they happen and they repeat. Anyways, believe what you want to believe, but I know what I believe is that Sylvia Browne was a money-grubbing, cash-grabbing crook who preyed upon the weak, and it's just sad and wrong and criminal. So again, all of the makeup products that I used for this look will be listed down in the description box below. That wraps it up for the story of Sylvia Browne, fake psychic. Thanks so much for hanging out today and for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this one, then make sure you subscribe to this channel before you leave. I upload new videos here on YouTube every Thursday. You can also follow me on some of the other social channels. Everything will be listed on the screen and down in the description box below. And that is it for now. Why can't I stop clapping and singing? Somebody please stop me. Okay, all right, I'll catch you next week in next week's video. Bye! Is Brian out there fucking pressure washing some bullshit? Businesses over silver. What the fuck are they doing out there? It's so loud. She invented... in today... fuck. What am I doing? I don't know. The amount of cat hair that's on all of this is staggering. Had been catnipped. She was was catnipped. Fuck. What am I doing? Bam. So after short... Sure. You know, fuck. Can't talk. Babe, what's wrong with me?
You got that corona.
I got the Rona.